day for action here on the Tide Trans Am Tour at Mid-Ohio. We'll be back to check the starting grid in just a moment. Competition. Greg Pickett starts from the pole, a former Trans Am champion. You know that Baldwin is right alongside. The Archer brothers, and what an impact they've had this season, occupy the second row. Scott Sharp in his bid for the title, alongside Ron Fellows, who won the last event at Elkhart Lake in row 3. Paul Gentilozzi, a former winner, and George Robinson in the 4th row. Jim Stevens and Dick Danielson side by side in row number 5. We go down through the rest of the field. You see that Deborah Gregg starts in row number 6. Walter Payton, the former NFL star, is found in row number 8 for the start of this one today. It's a 28-car field, shaking out the kinks, getting the nerves all in line, Derek Daly, for what should be a most intriguing afternoon of Trans Am racing.
Trans Am racing has been fantastic all weekend and all afternoon and all year, in fact. Let's have a look at the track map. Great road racing facility here. Great elevation changes. We'll see that it's 15 turns. A top speed here of above 165 miles an hour in qualifying.
Now, one thing that's a little bit unusual here at Mid-Ohio is the fact that they don't take the green flag in front of the pits at the start-finish line. They actually use the high-speed portion of the backstretch to get the green. It'll be coming up shortly. You can see it's a magnificent day for racing. It just couldn't be better. Bright sunshine, tremendous crowd on hand, a great field getting ready and in position now as we anticipate a chance to go green. It's Pickett on the inside in car number 6. Baldwin is right alongside. This is one of the strongest Trans Am fields that we have seen in several events. Looking and getting the green. Remember, they're on the backstretch, and look at the traffic jam now as they set up for the turn. Heavy braking by Baldwin as he sets the pace. Pickett holds on to second, and they now start to string out and get the single file positioning. But the jump goes to Jack Baldwin. The Archers running right behind Baldwin and Pickett. They started in the second row and a good, clean, high-speed start.
And a risky move by Jack Baldwin. We saw him lock up those front brakes, clouds of tire smoke, but look at the back of that car. Fluid. Maybe fuel coming out of the fuel tank, because remember, it is packed full of fuel at this early stage. But Baldwin, we're going to have to keep an eye on him.
Well, indeed, Baldwin sets the pace. They'll be coming around now and coming to the carousel and then sweeping by the front straightaway for the first time. But again, you see that fluid from the left rear of the leading car, number 25, of Jack Baldwin. Now they cross the start-finish line. And, of course, you know that that has been seen also by Greg Pickett, who challenges in car number 6.
And it's only on right-handers. Look at the left-handers, no problem, but it's on the long right-handers that Baldwin is in trouble with that fluid, whatever it is. Look at the gaggle behind them, though.
Let's get a quick report now from the pits as we go to Jan Beekes.
Well, Jack Baldwin's strategy, Gary, was to lead that first lap. Remember, you get a point for leading a lap. In this case, it's only a half a lap because of where they started. As far as that leakage, that is normal, and that's fuel. Gary?
We've got an Archer making a move. Tommy Archer challenging Pickett for second place. They're side by side. Let's see how this one, as they come into the next corner, will Archer make the pass? He does. Tommy Archer, a previous winner this year on the streets of Belle Isle in Detroit, takes over second place, and Pickett, who started from the pole, is now shuffled back one spot. He is in the number 3 position.
Well, Greg Pickett definitely taking a very conservative approach here in the early laps. We saw Tommy Archer come down the inside. That's a difficult move sometimes. That's at the end of the long back straight, and they really had to stand on that brake pedal to get the cars to stop.
You can see now that nobody has been able to open up any particular advantage. Everybody now getting their position, getting into race rhythm. Pickett holding out of the number 3 spot. Baldwin, who leads the championship point standings, has the lead in the race. Tommy Archer second. Pickett is racing third. Bobby Archer, who was fastest in the final practice session, races fourth. Pickett looks like he wants to re-challenge for the second spot. He makes the move inside as they sweep into the first turn underneath the bridge. We believe that Pickett was able to get through and get back into second place. He did.
And a decisive move, but look at this here. Look at the other. Tommy Tommy Archer's car. Bobby's trying to come down the inside. Look at is that Robinson or Gentilozzi?
That is Gentilozzi in car number 75.
Fuel pours out of Gentilozzi's car also. So obviously these Camaros, if it is fuel, have a similar fuel tank arrangement. I hope at the end of the race they don't need that fuel that they're dumping out onto the racetrack.
Well, this race is configured for 101 and a fraction miles, and here comes Paul Gentilozzi. The last time we saw Gentilozzi in Trans Am competition was at Portland. And remember, he was sent to the back of the pack prior to the start of the race. He blew through the field, and he won at Portland. And right now, Gentilozzi in 75 is coming on strong. Now, Ron Fellows comes into the picture. He's in that blue Mustang number 4. We have got a great battle shaping up here in the early rounds at Mid-Ohio.
There's the fuel again. See it on these long right-handers. Now it's diminished a little bit. They've used about 4 or 5 gallons probably already. So, as I said, I hope they don't need that fuel earlier on. But look at Scott Sharp at the back of the gaggle here now, right behind George Robinson, Gentilozzi's teammate.
Sharp, of course, is the other player in the championship series. He's in car number 33. He's got a lot of traffic to contend with right now. As we go back up to the leaders, here we see now the man on top, Baldwin, closely pursued by Pickett. Pickett holds the number 2 spot. Tommy Archer is holding out of the number 3 position. Checking them out now as they continue here in the early laps at Mid-Ohio. On with Derek Daly and Jan Beekes. We're watching Jack Baldwin lead a single file procession now as they sweep into the first turn. Baldwin in car 25, your leader, closely pursued by Greg Pickett. Tommy Archer in car number 3 races in the 3rd spot, and then it's Paul Gentilozzi next in line. Making a move is Ron Fellows. Fellows, who won the last race in car number 4. That was at Elkhart Lake on the 4-mile circuit. Leads the way through. Robinson in 74 also challenging and getting past Bobby Archer's number 32, the Dodge.
Well, that was a surprise that Robinson was actually able to follow Ron Fellows through. He had to do it the hard way, go right round the longer outside line. But look at Sharp making a move also on Bobby Archer.
Scott Sharp is currently running in 8th place in car number 33. He started this race in the number 5 position. Is he just taking a conservative approach, Derek?
Scott Sharp is definitely taking a conservative approach. I know from the tire information he's running on harder tires than most of the other runners here, hoping for a warm afternoon, thinking that in the last 25% of the race he will be in very good shape. But look at the fuel still coming out of the back of Scott Sharp's car.
This battle here is roughly 4.5 seconds behind the front-running Jack Baldwin. You're looking at the Texan Robinson in car number 74 as he tries to hang on to that position in 7th place. Here's Pickett trying to make a move as he challenges again. Baldwin, who has been magnificent in 6 consecutive events with no finish, worse than 2nd place, hanging on to a very precarious lead. And Pickett has been so strong all weekend here.
This is definitely a pressure situation for Jack Baldwin. Pickett, I think, has a car that might be a little bit faster, and he is turning up the pressure here on Big Jack.
Now, let's check the tire situation, because that's always a concern on these 100-mile Trans Am races as we go to Jan Beekes in the pits.
That's right, Gary. The competitors have a choice between tires. The 430 would be the softest they're using here. The 600 would be the medium, and the 620 would be the hardest. Our runners up front, let's say the pole sitter Greg Pickett, he's all on 430s. Then we have the Archers. They have 430s on the front, the harder 600s on the back. Then you would think, well, our series point leader, Jack Baldwin, you would think he would be conservative leading. Not. He has a soft setup, only one 600. Then you would think, well, Scott Sharp has to chase him. He would probably really go for it. He's got the hardest tires out there. He has a 620 on the the left rear. Now, what does all this mean? What that means is the guys with the soft tires would be able to run fast in the beginning. And what's going to happen is Scott Sharp is going to have to try and push these guys so they wear the tires down. This will all come into play, guys, at the end.
And we see Greg Pickett really using those soft tires, locked up under braking for the carousel. Lost a little bit of time to Baldwin, as we can see here. But look at Gentilozzi now on the back of this 4-car train.
Gentilozzi, car number 75, the white and blue car, currently in 4th place. He started 7th. He has not raced in Trans Am competition since way back early in the summer. We chronicled his great drive at Portland, and he is impressive here in the early laps. these 4 cars have opened up a bit of an edge now over the rest of the field. It's still Baldwin at 25, Pickett in number 6. Then you see Archer in car number 3. That's Tommy in that car, followed by the machine driven by Paul Gentilozzi.
And under braking is where Gentilozzi makes a lot of his strikes, and it's under braking into these infield sections that we're going to watch him. But look at this battle up front. Great Trans Am racing again. Again, the pressure is really squarely on Jack Baldwin here. And look at Tommy Archer now adding to that pressure.
You've talked about the pressure being on Baldwin's shoulder. He has really responded to that pressure, not only in the early laps of this event, but all through this season as he bids for his first major Trans Am championship. He has won a pair of events. He's had 4 seconds in the last 6. He has been there repeatedly, and he's there once again. But here comes Pickett now with a look on the front straightaway. Pickett pulls to the inside. He may have position sweeping into the turn. He does, and Greg Pickett, who started on the pole, is now your new leader here at Mid-Ohio.
And a great move. You could see that move coming. The left-hander at the end of the lap, right in front of the pit straight here. You could see that Pickett was faster, and he actually got a run. Oh, look, the touch. They run into the back of each other here.
Tommy Archer got into the backside of the Hot Wheels 25. Baldwin, of course, needs to stay clean. He can avoid, or he needs no contact whatsoever. So he has got to maintain and hold on to that strong position to keep his championship hopes alive. Will he give up a position? Here's Archer in car number 3 taking over second. Baldwin, who led just moments ago, is now in the number 3 spot.
Things change rapidly here, but Gentilozzi is about to make another big attack on Jack Baldwin. Baldwin can easily lose his rhythm here because now, as you say, 2 positions, suddenly in a flash he drops from 1st to 3rd. So that's championship points also that he's losing as well as positions.
One thing in his favor at the moment is the fact that Sharp is still back in 8th place. Here's a problem for Panzarella in car number 55. Skip Panzarella from Melville, New York, has his Camaro off course, and looks like he's going to pull it behind the Armco or up next to the Armco, and he'll be out of the competition. We'll check back with the leaders now. Paul Gentilozzi, who is running 4th, has just turned the fastest lap of the race at better than 95 miles per hour. We checked the top 5. At Mid-Ohio, contact between 2 cars, and sliding back off the circuit is Wally Owens in the 21 car, I believe, or is that 27? That's Wally Owens in 21. And R.J. Valentine in car 54 involved in the contact, not impacting any of the front runners of the competition as everybody else wends their way through. You're going to look there at Wally Owens trying to get that car restarted.
And that looked like a real T-bone effort. It was coming out of turn 1. We can look back. No, this is over turn 2. Now Owens on the outside. Oh, gets smacked T-bone like this. Wally Owens, unfortunately, did not manage to keep the engine running there.
Owens now trying to get some help from some corner workers, but a frustrating early start to this event for the driver of car number 21 out of West Palm Beach, Florida. Greg Pickett now weeding his way through a bit of traffic. The leader's now getting into traffic for the first time today. It's Pickett on top. Archer running second. Baldwin is 3rd, closely pursued by Gentilozzi and Fellows.
Watch Gentilozzi under braking. That's where he likes to make his attack. Closes up. He's a little bit behind now, but look at the pressure now that Gentilozzi is under from Ron Fellows in the Mustang.
Continued assault by Ron Fellows in car number 4. He would love to make it 2 consecutive wins after his victory in the last outing on the long circuit at Elkhart Lake, and he's putting a lot of pressure on Paul Gentilozzi. These 2 have been spectacular as they work their way forward here, but right now our field seems to be stabilizing just a bit. Let's go down now to the pits. Jan Beekes, well, I think we've got a yellow flag here. Let's go to the pits and check in with Jan Beekes.
Well, what we have is we have an interview ready with Deborah Gregg, who unfortunately has come into the pits early. What happened, Deborah?
Well, it looks like we had a bolt break in our shift linkage where the shift tower actually pivots on the linkage itself, unfortunately. It doesn't happen very often, but it kind of wasn't our day.
Well, we wish you better fortunes at Sears Point.
Well, thanks a lot. We're looking forward to going to Sears. Looking forward to the finale.
Gary?
Well, a tough day for Deborah Brake. She had no time in qualifying yesterday. Then in the final session this morning, she got her car in the number 12 spot on the grid, but she is out of the competition as Pickett continues to set the pace. We've been watching Jack Baldwin throughout the day in this battle for the championship. His team says that there's a special piece of technology that has greatly contributed to their success this year. Let's check in now with Jan Beekes in this track back.
Jack Baldwin has had some strong performances recently in his Hot Wheels Camaro, and the crew attributes much of that success to the use of some new Delco electronic shocks. Now, we call these dampers in racing because they dampen the movement of the suspension as well as the spring. We call them electronic because this lead comes out of the bottom of the body of the damper. If we plug that into a receptacle here, we can actually switch it from number 8, which would be stiffest, all the way down to 0, which would be softest. The way that's adjusted is there's an electric motor inside the body of the damper that switches those damper settings. Now, Nick Short, the crew chief on Jack Baldwin's car, he's moved those receptacles actually inside the car for quick adjustment on a pit stop. This is the body of the damper. That is where that electric motor resides that Delco developed. That motor is actually a production item that you would find on a road-going Cadillac. Now, the Cadillac system adjusts the car while you're actually driving, but with Jack Baldwin, those changes can only be made during a pit stop.
Greg Pickett is our leader. Let's find out how this yellow may impact strategy among the front runners as we check in with Jan Beekes.
Well, Gary, the real advantage of those soft tires is when you come back to green because they don't take long to heat up. You can really go for it. This may have really played in the hands of both Jack Baldwin and Greg Pickett. Now, also think Scott Sharp's on the hard tires. They take 3 laps to get going, and then the Archers are in between. So we'll have to see. It looks like the soft guys will take off, but then it'll shake out after 3 laps. Gary?
The yellow as a result of the contact between Valentine and Owens. They've got Owens restarted after some difficulty, and he now tags the field. He will no longer be in contention since he's lost laps to the leaders. But right now, the tempo begins to pick up. They charge up the hill. The green flag is back out, and we're racing as they'll sweep toward that left-hand first turn. Pickett, Archer, Baldwin, the top 3. Gentilozzi in 75 runs 4th. He's closely followed by Ron Fellows. Then it's Bobby Archer, and Scott Sharp is 7th. Bobby Archer kicks off a wheel there to kick up some dirt right in the face virtually of Sharp. Sharp in 33 in that mustard colored car, trying to find a line to make a pass, but unable to do so at the moment.
Now, the end of this back straight, remember, it's 165 miles an hour here on very heavy braking. That's where Gentilozzi likes to make his move, so let's see what happens here.
We'll soon find out. Here comes the move, and it's Paul Gentilozzi in 75 to the inside of Baldwin. So Baldwin, who led briefly, now finds himself in 4th spot, and only 3 positions separate himself and Scott Sharp, his other contender in the championship battle. But Gentilozzi is the man on the move. Now with his highest ranking of the day in 3rd place.
And a great move on Jack Baldwin, but Baldwin is not happy with that car. There is something, particularly under braking. He does not seem to be as aggressive as the Gentilozzi's or as Tommy Archer was earlier when he lost those positions. But look now how much Gentilozzi has pulled out. But remember, Gentilozzi is not chasing this championship, so I suppose he can afford to be a little bit more aggressive.
Indeed, and of course he wants to make it 2 in a row as far as he's concerned. The last time he raced in Trans Am competition, he won at Portland. He's currently 3rd. Baldwin, who leads the championship chase, racing 4th. Ron Fellows now applying the pressure in car number 4, the Mustang, right behind the 25 Camaro of Baldwin.
And we see Jack Baldwin fall back. I suppose the main thing we could consider for Jack Baldwin is, as long as he finishes ahead of his own teammate Scott Sharp, who's 3 positions behind him at this moment, maybe he thinks he's relatively safe.
Ron Fellows started this day 38 points out of 1st place. He's 3rd in the point standing, so he's still mathematically alive, but for all intents and purposes, it's teammates with the battle, and here comes Ron Fellows right now. He makes the pass, and now suddenly Baldwin is back to 5th. Can he answer the challenge? Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Under braking, particularly, that's where we see all the passes being made on Jack Baldwin. He will not be happy with that car at the end of the back straight.
Let's find out more about Baldwin and any potential problems as we check in again with Jan Beekes.
We checked in immediately with his crew chief, Nick Short, and he says he has not said anything on the radio, even during that caution period, about anything under braking. So unless this just happened now, as far as they know, there's no problem with the car.
Baldwin now finds himself in that number 25 Hot Wheels Camaro in 5th position and just 2 spots back in 7th. There's Scott Sharp in car number 33, and he's got George Robinson right off his back spoiler in car number 74. A little bit of traffic to contend with. We've got a problem with the 4 car in the front straightaway. Ron Fellows has pulled off. He is moving very, very slowly. One of the Archers was also challenging up there, but we're keeping an eye on the Ford Mustang of Fellows. He won the last time out. And look at this traffic jam. Now it's Baldwin, Archer, Sharp, Robinson all together. And the Archer in car number 32, that's Bobby Archer, has now moved into 5th place. Baldwin, who led, is now back to 6th, and he's got Sharp right behind him, his teammate.
And it's almost with every corner things change here. Bobby Archer tried to pass Jack Baldwin under braking for turn 2, but look at Baldwin come back.
Baldwin comes back this time on Bobby Archer. He has the line this time, and he regains a spot. So after sliding steadily back through the field, he's now started a counterattack, and he's gained one of those positions back.
But now he says, this is enough. I've been passed too many times here. This is how they did it to me. I'm going to do exactly the same thing to Bobby Archer, and he does it very well down the inside. And remember, Scott Sharp is the man really he's trying to beat here. Scott Sharp in the Duracell Camaro, his teammate, just 2 cars behind him.
Let's check now on the fortunes of Ron Fellows as we go back to Jan Beekes.
We checked in with team owner Tom Gloy, and we found out it was a drive line problem. Either a drive shaft, transmission, something. No drive. The engine is fine, just doesn't get to the rear wheels. Gary?
Ron Fellows, who won at Lime Rock and also at Elkhart Lake, was 3rd in points. There's Tom Gloy, the owner. Fellows has seen his long shot of hopes for the championship apparently go by the wayside with an early departure driveline problem. What a tough break for the Canadian driver out of Toronto, Ron Fellows. Now let's see if Sharp can put pressure on Archer. We're talking about Bobby Archer in the 32 red Dodge right in front of the 33 Camaro. We keep an eye on them. They are battling currently in 5th and 6th places after, of course, Fellows dropped out. They gained a spot. We should also point out that Greg Pickett continues to set the pace as the leader of this race.
And what Scott Sharp needs now is as many long, hard, fast laps in succession as he can get, because he went the conservative route on the tires. We mentioned it earlier. So he needs to try and... Oh, look at, he corrects it. Great.
That was a great
shot there as he turns into the corner. Car gets away from him. You see him correct it, bring the car back, and then continue on his way.
And it gives us just a taste of how hard these drivers are working on this great 2.25-mile circuit to set the pace at Mid-Ohio. A man who won here 6 years ago in 1986, a man who won the Trans Am Championship in the late 70s. He's on top of the moment, but right now, this is the fight we're keeping a close eye upon. It involves Paul Gentilozzi, who is 3rd. 4th place, Jack Baldwin in 25. Then you've got Bobby Archer in 32, and we've also got Scott Sharp at number 33. Now, Buzz McCall is a man who, of course, calls the shots for the 2 men in the championship hunt, Baldwin and Sharp. Let's get a word from him.
Well, we're standing by with Buzz, and now your whole strategy changes now that Ron Fellows is out of the race.
Well, it really does, Jan. Let's put it this way. American Equipment Company is going to win the Drivers' Championship. I don't know which one. Going to be Jack or Scott. Ron dropping out eliminates him from the championship run. So me as a team owner, I'm real happy. Now the 2 guys are going to have to decide who's going to win.
So now are they backing off because of that, or are they just going to go out there and race each other?
Yeah, we're certainly going to take a more conservative strategy. And I know now Scott and Jack are basically going to race each other, because it's going to go down to the last race, this and the last race of the season, between which of the 2 of them is going to win the championship.
Thank you, Buzz.
Thanks, John.
Gary?
Now, Derek, you're a driver. You've been in these situations. Is it easy to become conservative?
No, I don't think so, particularly for Scott Sharp, because all he can do is try and be aggressive and maybe win the championship. Remember, there are no team orders between these 2 teammates, and only the last race at Elkhart Lake, they hit each other trying to make a pass, and Scott Sharp went off the road. So it's an interesting thing between teammates, and as far as they're allowed, just fight it out on the racetrack.
And again, Baldwin in 25, that's the blue car you see, is currently 4th, and Sharp in the 33 car is 6th. And he continues to saw away back there, working against Bobby Archer. But right now, he's not able to make the move to get by him.
And Scott Sharp is threatening to pass Bobby Archer. His style in the past, many, many times, is to come on stronger as the race goes on. Now watch this here.
You spoke the words, and here he comes. It could be dramatic at any moment. He makes the pass cleanly. So Sharp now has Baldwin right in front of him. Oh, Archer trying to sneak back and take a look, but he's unable to make the pass and regain the position. So Sharp now has moved up to 5th. That's the highest he's been at any time in this competition today. Remember now, he's number 2 in points. He started 5th, slipped back to 8th. Now he's back in the number 5 spot. Well, we've been constantly alluding to the points battle raging between Scott Sharp and Jack Baldwin. Earlier, we asked Sharp about the thought of battling his teammate for the championship.
Well, I really think my strategy is pretty straightforward and simple. Hammer to the floor and get as many points as I can, whether that means obviously trying to get on the pole, lead as many laps as possible, and win the race. I mean, there's 66 available points left in the season, and I only need 9 to catch up to Jack, so you don't think really that's that big of a deal, but he's been running so consistent that I really got to try to gather any points I can wherever I can get them.
Scott Sharp this year has won at Mosport, also on the streets of Des Moines. Baldwin has a pair of wins himself this year. He won at Watkins Glen and also in Quebec, I believe. He's also had those 4 second-place finishes. Now let's check back again with Jan Beekes from the pit side.
Well, Gary, Derek Daly was talking about Scott Sharp being the master of conserving his car. He told me that he thinks that Greg Pickett is the best one on the circuit doing that. Now, of course, he's our leader. He's also on those soft tires. I don't think it might have anything to do with the fact that Scott Sharp is dating Greg Pickett's daughter, Kim. Gary?
A little social note thrown in here in the racing action as well as we continue to watch Scott Sharp in the number 33 car. He is the defending Trans Am Series champion. Came into this race, the next to the last race of the season, trailing his teammate Baldwin by 9 points. The winner of the race gets 30 points. You also get a lap for leading a point for leading the race. You get a point for being on the pole. That, of course, went to Pickett. And there's a bonus point that goes to the man who leads the most laps. 33 maximum points in any given race day, equaling his car number. He was 9 behind coming in, and the man he's chasing right in front of him.
And you can see he is closing up on Jack Baldwin. This is going to be a great fight in about 1 more lap.
Well, here's the former NFL star, currently in 13th place. 34, the car number. You remember the jersey number with the Chicago Bears, Walter Payton, who had his best career finish in the last race at Elkhart Lake when he was 8th. He's currently running in 13th.
Interesting. I asked Walter about the physical differences between driving a racing car and a football. He said it's no big deal. I train now in the sauna, and he said long distance races like this compared to a short, sharp burst of football doesn't faze him one bit.
The NFL's all-time leading rusher enjoying his new career in automotive racing. He's in Trans Am competition. Now let's go back up front. Here's Greg Pickett. Pickett is the man of the moment. He's done a terrific job. Relinquished that place at the moment at Mid-Ohio, and here come the teammates. It's Sharp on the inside with a challenge now. He has the line coming to the corner, and for the first time today, he's now in front of Jack Baldwin. Baldwin tucks right back in off the rear spoiler, but Baldwin now finds himself in 5th place. Sharp has moved to 4th. 9 points separating the two coming into the action today, and an opportunity for Sharp to cut into that 9-point deficit just a bit. For the first time, he has now moved in front of his teammate. So what's the feeling? Oh, here's Robinson off course. George Robinson, who had been running in 7th place in car number 74, is off course and apparently out of the competition. So let's get back to that battle now for 4th place in the championship. We've got a car. One of the Archers got sideways back there. Bobby Archer at number 32. My goodness, that was a moment there as we were keeping an eye on the battle for 4th place involving Sharp and Baldwin. Sharp continues to hold the 4th spot, and Baldwin is 5th.
And Bobby Archer was actually lapping one of the back markers. He went outside him on the front straight here onto the grass and had the car well sideways. So luckily he got away with it.
See if we can get a look here now as he was passing the 82 car of Dick Greer, I believe.
Here it is. Now Bobby Archer decides to go around the outside. Look at this. No room. Oh, Dick Greer did not see him, obviously. And Archer goes grass cutting down the outside. Here's a look at the pass that Sharp put on Baldwin earlier. Now it's so difficult for Baldwin to block him here, and fair play to him. He's no defensive driving. He keeps his normal braking line, and Sharp slides down the inside. And from here on in, there's nothing Baldwin can do.
Now you talk about the fact team orders. You just race each man for himself. Both men love it. They say that, well, a little bumping is okay, but you don't take anybody out of the competition. Greg Pickett, meanwhile, continues to hold the top spot, and boy, has he put in a dominant run. You have to look back now for Greg Pickett. The last time he won in Trans Am competition 3 years ago, 1989 in Detroit, and you saw the graphic that he won here on this circuit 6 years ago. This is a man who has 14 career Trans Am wins, and he's got a new chassis in the last couple of races, Derek, that seems to be really paying off.
That is a major key to his recent success. The Riley Scott chassis built in Indianapolis. Bob Riley, of course, so well known for the designs of these type of cars, come up with a very good one, and he has been so good ever since. And we mentioned earlier he went to a smaller engine for this weekend, a 310 cubic inch, which allows him to run 100 pounds softer. Of course, a lighter car could use softer tires. He is on the softest package here, looks after his tires well, and he has everything well in hand this afternoon.
It's been almost a flawless performance. He lost from the pole position in the early laps. We mentioned that Baldwin was the early leader, and then suddenly he came right back. Ooh, traffic right now trying to get around Lynn Connor, the 77 car. Didn't know which way to go for a moment, but he makes the pass cunningly. Now let's go to the pits and Jan Beekes.
Well, Gary, as you talked about, Greg Pickett really loves that new car, but he also attributes much of the success to Dave King, who helped him set it up. Now, you're visiting, you usually work on a GTP team, but you've helped him get that car dialed.
Yeah, we just come down. Greg's an old friend, so we decided to drive down, take the 3 hours from Detroit, and come see if we could give him a hand this weekend.
You were at the last race, too, and all of a sudden that car was really running. Now, what are the kind of tricks and secrets you were able to give him?
I have some experience in Trans Am, so I'm able to give him a little hand and direction in that matter.
Well, Gary, I think that's a little bit of an understatement. Gary?
Well, everybody agrees Dave King has done a masterful job helping this team get back on track, and it's certainly reflected in the effort that Greg Pickett is enjoying here as he opens up a 3-second lead right now over Tommy Archer.
You have to remember, it's not too long ago, the last race, in fact, Elkhart Lake, just after Greg Pickett took the lead and looked very strong, he had a mechanical failure, and it all came to 0.
Now let's go back and check on a battle in the pack. This is for 8th place. Car number 40, Jim Durhog, and car number 60, Dick Danielson. The 95 car, James Moyer out of Kokomo, Indiana. Not a factor at the moment as we keep an eye on these two guys. They have been kind of bird dogging each other for a spell, both in the top 10. Durhog racing in 8th place, and Danielson in the number 9 spot. Now just about 4 car lengths back.
And that's what you get. Personal battles all the way down through this field. This has been going on for lap after lap. They don't really care what's going on at the head of the field. They have their own little personal battle and duel going on here.
And on a very busy circuit such as this Mid-Ohio course with 15 turns, you're constantly going through a variety of corners, and so there's great opportunities. You may drop back 4, 5, 6 car lengths, but the slightest bobble puts you right back up against the rear bumper and in a position to challenge once again. That's what these two have been doing through much of the afternoon.
And this could be the leading group. Look, they're only separated by 2 or 3 car lengths, so a very private battle here. And when it's over, if they can stay in the position they are, they will be very happy with their afternoon's work.
Now Paul Gentilozzi in car number 75 getting through some traffic. He makes the pass on the 39 car of Craig Schaefer. Gentilozzi continues to run in 3rd place. You see the separation back to the 33 car. That's Scott Sharp in 4th, and the blue car right behind him in 5th is Jack Baldwin. So those 3 are starting to tighten up just a little bit. It looked like Gentilozzi had some muscle early. It might be a force coming to the front, but it's stabilized as he holds the number 3 position in car 75.
And you can clearly see Scott Sharp is inching ever closer with every lap to Paul Gentilozzi. This is the favorite outbraking maneuver here. Paul Gentilozzi, though, is a long-time competitor here. Unusual line there for Gentilozzi. Very wide on the right side of the racetrack, but he knows Scott Sharp is on the way.
Eric, I can't help but wonder, you would think that Paul Gentilozzi might be a little bit race rusty, not having competed in Trans Am since Portland, but that does not appear to be the case today.
No, and remember, Paul Gentilozzi owns Rocket Sports, his own racing team. They run the IMSA GTS series, so he is not race rusty at all, and he does a lot of testing. In fact, has tested here at Mid-Ohio in this car.
He's a two-time career winner. We mentioned the victory at Portland this year. He won on the streets of Long Beach in 1988. He's in the 75 car, currently in third place, and you can see that the relentless young defending Trans Am champion Scott Sharp is inching his way closer. He's not gaining much on Baldwin, but if he can gain one more position and gain a couple of more precious points in this championship battle going to the season ender at Sears Point, that would be a huge gain. Now again, let's go to Jan Beekes in the pits.
Well, talking about that battle with Paul Gentilozzi and also with Scott Sharp, Paul told me earlier today, he said, I wish I would have chosen the same tires that Scott Sharp has. I think that's probably the way to go. That's the very same thing that his teammate Jack Baldwin told me. So he thinks the tires are going to be the right choice in hindsight due to the weather that we have here. Also, Jack Baldwin, we found out, is dropping back because he has to save fuel. So that fuel that was leaking out of the cars earlier, in fact, that may be a problem at the end of the race. Now, Bobby Archer is closing up because his car didn't handle well on a full fuel load. Now they think they can chase down Baldwin. Gary?
So some interesting wrinkles as we lead toward the final laps of the competition at Mid-Ohio. It is still Greg Pickett in Trans Am racing, the next to the last event of the season. Greg Pickett continues to hold the lead. We saw him flash by. Here's Tommy Archer, closely followed now by Paul Gentilozzi. The race for second place between those two. Scott Sharp, the mustard color number 33, has dropped the back just a little bit, still racing in the fourth position. Baldwin, his teammate, the championship point leader, is in fifth, but we hear there's talk of fuel concerns. And remember all that fuel we saw sloshed early in the race? Let's check in with Jan Beekes in the pits.
Well, Gary, on both the case of Jack Baldwin and Scott Sharp, they have two people in the pits, one each, ready to fuel the cars. They're suited up. They think that if they have a fuel problem, they can come in, that is, and do a quick splash and go. So this race is not over yet. Gary?
Now, if they both have to come in, Derek, and fuel, it's not any great impact on the championship. But if just one of them has to come in, it could mean a championship.
Well, it's interesting. Early in the race, we didn't see Greg Pickett's Chevrolet Camaro throw fuel out, but Baldwin's definitely did. I suggest a redesign, particularly if they run out of fuel. But look at this traffic jam here.
Baldwin in 25 is now being held up a bit as he has no opportunity to get back up there close to his teammate Sharp, and he also has to contend with Bobby Archer, who's right off the backside in the next position.
So often we've seen all the, oh, look at this, the Archer car locks up those front brakes. He's now still trying very hard to get by Jack Baldwin, but so much can happen in the closing laps of these Trans Am races.
And a change of just one position between the two contenders, Sharp or Baldwin, can mean a differential of 2 or 3 or possibly 4 points. It was a 9-point differential coming into the race. We keep mentioning that as this season winds down. Got a pretty good race going for 4th place or 5th place, and we've got one going for 2nd place. We'll try to keep an eye on both.
And Baldwin knows he's not going to catch Scott Sharp, so forget that. So his main concern is he has to stay ahead of Bobby Archer.
This is the battle for 2nd. Tommy Archer in number 3 on the left of the screen, and right there is Paul Gentilozzi. Archer's been a strong man today, but he is now running 5.5 seconds behind Pickett. Pickett has been the dominant force once he made that move to get back into the lead after relinquishing it at the start of the race to Baldwin. Baldwin slipped steadily back. Baldwin currently running in the 5th spot. Right now it's Pickett by 5.5 seconds. And look at a little sliding there. The rear end loose that time for Tommy Archer.
Exactly, using up those rear tires. Now under braking and all through these switchback corners, Paul Gentilozzi seems to be very good. And I thought he could make a realistic challenge against Tommy Archer earlier, but Archer just seems to have enough to keep ahead.
This is Jim Durhog, a man who is the all-time leader in Trans Am races driven. This is his 133rd career event, coasting to a stop, and it looks like he's coasting to a stop right in the middle of the race line. Or is he totally off the circuit somewhere? He was off in a chicane, apparently the old keyhole area, so he is not a factor on the circuit. There you can see this is the old configuration, what they called the keyhole. They no longer run that configuration. In fact, Trans Am for the first time this year now with a straightaway up through the old keyhole, and so that car not in any problem for the rest of the field.
Back with Gentilozzi. This is his favorite spot, but look, he's about 6 car lengths behind Tommy Archer. You cannot make a passing attempt from that far behind.
Well, we continue to watch and see if anybody can close up. Here is Greg Pickett. Pickett is going to be coming out of the carousel and up the front straightaway, and I believe he's going to be looking at a white flag, which will indicate 1 lap, 2.25 miles to go. That'll be coming up here in just a few moments. He's still on the backside of the circuit. What a great day this has been for Pickett, who's been strong so many times this year, but he hasn't won. Again, we mentioned the last time, Detroit, 1989, but he was strong at Belle Isle in Detroit this year when he had his best finish of this season. That was a second-place effort.
I heard him interviewed earlier, and he actually sounded a bit surprised that when he got, you see the white flag there, when he got this new chassis, he was actually surprised that suddenly he ran so much better, and now he was surprised himself by actually being able to take the pole position speed.
Tommy Archer in the red Dodge holds on to second, chased by Gentilozzi, who is third. No change in the order. Sharp continues to run in the number 4 spot. Baldwin is 5th, and Bobby Archer putting pressure on Baldwin. It's very important for Jack Baldwin's championship hopes to hang on to this spot and not lose another position.
And it's down the end of this long straight that Jack Baldwin has been most vulnerable. Now, Bobby Archer will know that, and I would guesstimate if Bobby Archer makes a run, I think Baldwin may come up with some defensive driving here and move down to the middle of the road.
Well, this will be the last opportunity because we are on the final lap, and this is a race for 4th place. Baldwin, or actually 5th place. I'm sorry. Baldwin occupies 5th. Bobby Archer wants it, takes a look, gets right up there under the spoiler, can't do it. Now we go back and check on our leader.
At the end of the straight, Baldwin did leave the door open, but Bobby Archer was not close enough to make a run down the inside to take that position away from him.
Greg Pickett, the all-time leader and top 5 finishes in Trans Am competition. 51 times he's done it. 14 times he's taken the checkered flag as a winner. He did it on this circuit 6 years ago. He's about to repeat as he comes up the hill. The checkered is out, and Greg Pickett has the win at Mid-Ohio. Now let's watch the rest of the field come through. We saw Archer get through to finish 2nd. Gentilozzi through traffic to finish 3rd. Now he finds Sharp coming through 4th. Baldwin is 5th. Bobby Archer is 6th. Pickett's wife enjoying the moment down along Pit Road on a great autumn day in central Ohio, and acknowledging the cheers of what's been a terrific crowd to hang on and watch this one here today is Greg Pickett.
Well, the interesting thing now, of course, is the points battle, because that was the main thing that was on Jack Baldwin's mind when he knew Scott Sharp was past him. The defensive mode had to come on, and luckily in the Hot Wheels Camaro here, he still has time to wave to the crowd there, but luckily he was able to hang on to that position and not lose another one to Bobby Archer.
Well, thumbs up all the way around. Greg Pickett, who's been involved in Trans Am racing for a lot of years. Remember, he won a championship back in the 70s in 1978. Gets the job done here today, and he enjoys this moment as he comes on around the circuit with a full complement of Trans Am cars right behind. We'll hear from the conquering hero in just a few moments. The grin says it all as Greg Pickett now begins to unbuckle the helmet and pull it clear, and Jan Beekes, of course, is standing by down there. And when Greg clears the cockpit, we'll have an opportunity to hear from a man who today has picked up his 15th career victory in Trans Am competition. You know, he has to be really enjoying this particular moment. Handshakes around, the belts are off. He'll be coming out of there. We need to clarify. You see the young lady leaning in there, I believe. That is Pickett's daughter, Kim. We identified earlier as his wife. That's his daughter, Kim, who enjoyed the moment. So we're happy to be able to clarify that situation. She's congratulated her dad. And now let's get down, and Jan Beekes will step in there and get a word from the man who has been able to do such a terrific job today and win this one by roughly 5.5 seconds. Jan?
Well, you told me before the race, all your competitors said, no way can he run at the front with those soft tires. You had confidence. You said, hey, no problem, and you pulled it off.
Hey, I told you, no problem, you know. No, we were really careful with him, and I was able to do a pace that I was very comfortable with. I didn't have to slide around the car a lot, and I think that it proved right. I mean, you know, if you got to be hooked up to do it, but I'm so happy. I'm happy for Chevrolet. I'm happy for us. I'm happy for David King and all the guys. We've worked so hard. It's been a long uphill deal.